All right, everybody. Today we're going to talk about goal setting. And this is going to be in the context of the video series that I'm doing where I am literally talking about things that I would love for my kids to know about money. And if you haven't followed, like I'm building this series out, it's going to take, I don't know, probably a long time, a couple years, especially if I'm only doing like 1 to 2 videos a week, which is kind of like the rate that I'm planning on doing these. And so today I want to build upon what I talked about last week, which was the mindset aspect. Is if you don't believe that you can become wealthy, that you can change your life, if you don't have that belief, nothing else matters because you will do everything you can to sabotage your actions. And I want to build upon that because I talked about that last week. And so I want to talk about something else this week, which is goal setting. And you think, what does this have to do with personal finance? It has everything to do with personal finance. It absolutely does. And that marker is terrible, so let's try this one. Okay, so we have goal setting, and let me grab this other marker here. We want to use the acronym SMART. And maybe you've heard this before, maybe you're new to it, but this is what you want to remember. And what this stands for is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, what we're saying here is, and this is very important with finance because you have to set goals. And I recommend that you set a long-term vision for yourself to start with. So what I mean by that is, I want to retire by the time I'm 50. And then you set goals that work towards that. So you want to make sure that you have goals. I believe you should have goals longer term and you should have goals shorter term. And this is kind of where I would start with it. And so let's walk through what each one of these means. Specific. We need a specific goal. So for example, I want to be I have $100,000 of debt. I want to be debt free in 3 years. Okay, that puts a time frame on it. That says I'm going to pay off $100,000, which is an exact dollar amount, and I'm going to pay it off by this time. That's specific. Versus I just want to be debt free. Well, there's no timeline there. I can't quantify that. I don't know if I'm making progress towards it. I know I'm going to be debt free, but where am I at now versus where do I want to go and how much time will it take? And that leads to the other thing, time bound. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Measurable. Can I measure that? If I say I want to be debt free, yeah, I can measure that because I can get to $0 in debt. But if I say I want to lose weight, okay, but how much weight do you want to lose? You have to be able to measure these goals because at the end of the day, you have to be able to track where you are at in your journey. If you don't track, what you don't track, you will not manage. In other words, if you just eat willy-nilly, okay, and you don't know what you're putting in your body, or keeping track of your calories, if you gain weight, you're not going to understand why. Versus, hey, I'm tracking, I know I'm eating like 3,000 calories a day and I'm still gaining weight. Maybe I need to take it down to 2,700 calories and see what happens there. That's a lot different. So we want to make sure we can measure these goals. Achievable. Okay. This is an important one because I think a lot of people make unrealistic goals. And this could be, I want to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. That is very hard to do. And especially depending on your weight, but that's very hard to do. If you told me, Matt, I make $50,000 a year and I want to pay off $100,000 in debt this year. Okay, that's hard to do. What are you selling? Are you selling a car? Are you selling a house? Like, what are you doing to do that? If you're not doing that stuff, that is unrealistic. Like, you can't do that. So it has to be achievable. Like, it has to be realistic. You can stretch yourself, and there's nothing wrong with like pushing yourself in a goal, but you don't want to make the bar so high that there's absolutely no way that you can achieve it. So make it realistic. Make it realistic. Be honest with yourself. But don't set the bar so low either that, well, I can just easily do that. You want to challenge yourself, not necessarily punish yourself. And so that's what I would tell you. Relevant. Is the goal relevant? Is it worthwhile doing? And I would say anything with personal finance, it's worthwhile. Like to have a better financial future is absolutely worthwhile. So I would say just make sure that goal is relevant. If your goal is to make $1 million a year, ask yourself, is that relevant for you? Is that, if your lifestyle is such that you only need $2,000 a month to live on, and that's all you care, like you're not trying to save up this big nest egg to give to charity or whatever, is that really a realistic goal for you? So, or is that really a relevant goal? So make sure that your goals are relevant to your life and have meaning to you. Do not set goals because somebody else tells you should set goals. You set the best goals that work for you. Time bound. Like I said earlier in my debt-free example, I want to pay off $100,000 of debt in 3 years. 3 years. You put a timeline on it. You're saying, hey, I want to get from here to here in a specific amount of time. And these are all important. And again, I tie it back to personal finance, and I think what kids need to know and what young adults even need to know, heck, I probably need to know it too, is we all need those goals. And we all need to make sure that if you have financial goals of like you want to retire early, you have to start here. You have to start with, hey, I have these long-term goals, I have short-term goals, and they work together. And as long as you execute on those goals and achieve them, that you will get to where you need to go. So do not dismiss this. This is very, very important stuff that it needs to be brought up, and it's not talked about often enough within the confines of personal finance. So hopefully you got a lot of value out of this video. If you did, I would appreciate you doing 4 things for me. Liking the video, sharing it with your friends, subscribing to the channel, and then also hit the bell so that you get alerted when new videos come out. And like I said, my goal is to do probably 1 to 2 videos a week covering these financial topics so that and they kind of build off of one another so that we can learn together, through the series of videos more about personal finance. Have a fantastic